Thank you. Beautiful as always. I went over to the fellowship hall and rounded up everyone. They were sitting there talking, drinking coffee, and eating donuts. And I brought them over. I said, now you want to see the pre-service music today. It is special. You do not want to miss it. And that first song, if you weren't here to hear it, you need to look it up on YouTube. We cut those and into different segments. The entire video is about an hour and a half, but you may watch the entire thing if you want, if you go to our channel. But we do cut them up into smaller pieces. But boy, that song, all of the songs were wonderful, wonderful. And thank you guys for giving up the donuts and coming on over. I hope it was worth it. I think it was. I know that we're all here because we're seeking. I alluded to it a little bit in my prayer, and that is we're all seeking something. We're all seeking that feeling of home. It's why people visit different churches, different organizations. We all want to find a place where we belong. And each week may not hold a new learning for you. It may be something you've heard before. But one thing I can guarantee that it will hold for you if you come here, and that is that we extend love, unconditional love. We extend some tips that can help you with the week ahead. And if nothing else, to inspire you. You might have a moment where you're feeling the blues, like the song just said. And we inspire each other. So don't forget that. Come when you're here, when you're in town, when you're able. Come. I had a few moments this week to especially feel grateful and to be grateful for all of you in this building and all of you that make this possible. And that is that in checking with a few other Unity churches that are fairly close, I found that several didn't make it through the pandemic and they're not opening again. And it just made me feel especially grateful that we have and we are, and we will continue and we will grow and continue to become strong. We're already strong, stronger. The building won't hold us because there are that many people that are looking for exactly what we provide. But if you would just pray with me, I found that Unity of Metairie closed its doors. Unity of Mobile, that has been there for 50 years. Unity of Gulf Shores. Unity of Tuscaloosa. And there were others, and I can't remember them all at the moment. Just pray with me that all of those people who went there, those in that area that need that message, that they'll be able to form a group, an organization. Maybe it'll be a study group, some way that they can get together and share the truths that we share here. We don't claim to have the truth. I'm not certain any of us, while on this earth, can claim to know the truth. We're all pioneers here on the same journey, on the same path, and we're just looking for a way to find peace of heart and mind. That's what we're looking for. So this morning, the topic I have is to discover the unshakable. But first, I'll tell you a little story about a little parakeet named Chippy. He was simply minding his own business one day, singing his little song, when his owner decided to clean out his cage with a vacuum cleaner. The phone rang and she went to answer it, and that was when things went horribly wrong. Well, without the guidance of the woman, the business end of the vacuum cleaner sucked up the bird and sent him to the dust bag, unfortunately. Realizing what had happened, the woman tore open the vacuum and ripped apart the bag to find Chippy, fearing the worst. However, he was not dead, just merely stunned a bit and pretty dusty. So what'd she do then? She decided to revive him and wash him off. So she stuck him in the bathroom sink under the water and under the flow. So now he's cold and wet from the sudden bath. So she decides to dry him off, and she doesn't think a towel will work, so she gets the blow dryer. So now the poor bird, he's gone from being sucked up, nearly drowned, and now he's been blown over. So the owner was asked by a friend a few weeks later how Chippy was doing. She replied, "Chippy doesn't sing much anymore. He just sits and stares." Have you ever had any times like that where you feel like Chippy and you just sit and stare? Life has had its way with you. And you may even feel unlucky. You may look at others and say, wow, they've got all the luck. Look at me. I'm sitting here cold and wet and totally stunned and don't even know how to take a next step. At the beginning of the Cold War in 1952, Harry Emerson Fosdick spoke to students and faculty at the Pacific School of Religion. And after acknowledging the very real fear and uncertainty of the world at that time, you see, he was before his time. He understood what all this uncertainty out there in the world was about. Most people just sat in fear. But he told his students, he told the other faculty, and then he told the various congregations where he served afterwards. The highest use of a shaken time is to discover the unshakable. We affirm here every Sunday, God is my instant, constant, and abundant supply, don't we? We affirm that, and at the moment, I hope we mean it. I know I do. And then I see some of us go back out into the world, and it's not 5 minutes till we've forgotten that. My God is my instant, constant, and abundant supply. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. It does not matter. So perhaps the highest use of a shaken time is to discover the unshakable. We've certainly had a shaken time the last 3 years, haven't we? You could say we were taken, thrown in a jar, shaken up, and thrown out, just like dice. Some ended up on top, and some ended up feeling like they were on the bottom. Maybe it just comes back to our point of view. But Steve said something perfect this morning, and I'm going to see if I can remember it. If not, he's going to help me, I know. Steve Janke, we were talking. He said, it's hard to remember it's your mission to drain the swamp when you're up to your ears in alligators. Thank you, Steve. It is, isn't it? I know at the beginning of the pandemic, I had my moments too. I did. I remember when we had decided not to meet here for a few Sundays till we knew what was going on. We were thinking at that time, this is going to last maybe 3 or 4 months. If we'd known it was going to be 3 years, wouldn't we have been shocked? And so we've certainly had our times, as the song stated. We've all had our times to sing the blues, haven't we? We certainly have. And there's not a person in this room that can tell you they haven't. It's just the way of life. And what if, when we're in the midst of those blues, that's the time we're going to find God? What if that's the purpose of it all? In her essay, High Tide in Tucson, Barbara Kingsolver speaks about the all too common experience of finding ourselves with the need to start over. Every one of us is called upon, probably many times, to start a new life. A frightening diagnosis, a move, loss of a job or a limb, a loved one maybe. It's impossible at first to think of how we'll go on. And then eventually, what moves us all forward is the subterranean tide, the ebb and flow of being alive among the living. I know it's what makes me feel better. If I've been inside for a while, maybe with a broken ankle or foot, and start getting comfortable with that, staying inside, the best thing I can do is get out among the living. That's what we're here for, you know. We need time of contemplation, but we also need to remember that it is our mission to drain the swamp. Okay? And with God's help, the alligators will subside. They'll go away. So we hold fast to the old passions of endurance that buckle and creak beneath us, dovetailed, tight as a good wooden boat to carry us forward. Onward, full tilt we go, pitched and wrecked and absurdly resolute. Yesterday, Dan and Joey had gone to rescue an old tractor out in the woods in the kill. And listen, guys, or gals now, if you want to go with them sometime, they're going back next week, so don't hesitate if you want to have that kind of fun. But I quit that long time ago. No, thank you, I'll stay home. Other things to do. But I was watching on the Weather Channel, they had an hour-long program about Katrina. Maybe it was 2 hours. I caught it midway. And there was some footage that I had not seen before. It was of the footage that especially got my attention was close to where we were down in Waveland. And it was the old the hotel at the corner of 603 and 90. A family had stayed there because the grandfather had Alzheimer's, and that they had several people there, but they had footage of the ocean coming in all the way to there at 90, and everything floating by, all the debris, every single thing. And a family that had to leave their house in Waveland, and the only way they could leave, thank goodness, was they had a boat. And they were picking up children and other people along the way, and there were 11 of them in that boat by the time they got out to that intersection. It's where Claiborne Hill is, that intersection, and that hotel was just recently taken down. It had been there all these years and looked pretty terrible sitting there, especially when you knew what had happened. But when you see things like that, you have so much confidence in humankind and the compassion and the love, kindness. And those people standing up on that balcony on the second floor of that hotel and doing everything they could to reach those people in that boat to save them. And it touched me in a new and special way, because I hadn't seen that footage in a long time, and how far we've come since then. How far? Will it be 16 years this year, I think? Or is it more? Yeah. 17 years. Yeah, 17 years. But sometimes, it's easy to feel stuck or hopeless, isn't it? It's easy to feel that you're up to your ears in alligators and there's no way out. Hope is the way that guides us forward. The hope that says that tomorrow can and will be better. The hope that says that a new, happier, more fulfilled life is possible. Joseph Campbell said, "Opportunities to find deeper powers within ourselves come when life seems most challenging." That's when we learn the most about our resilience and about who we are, what our soul's mission is, and who sent us. We find ourselves with that need to start over so many times. How do we proceed? We ask the question, what if this is meant to challenge previously held emotional, mental, spiritual barriers or beliefs? What if I could just go into contemplation and reconsider every single thing? What if this is happening to me so that I will change, so that I will see things differently? What if it encourages us to find the unshakable within ourselves and without, to see God, the universe, in a different way? And then we're able to begin again, one peaceful step at a time. We can so many times ask the question, why me? Why this? Why now? Some of you that have been in classes with me before, and sometimes we have done book studies, and one particular book study we did was a book that was titled, Why Me? Why This? Why Now? It's not a new book. It's by a woman named Robin Norwood. It was actually written in the 90s, and it's a guide to answering life's toughest questions. It's not easy to find either because it's out of print. And I'm not even certain where she is now. She was a psychologist, and she had previously written a book that was extremely popular. The title of it was Women Who Love Too Much. And being a psychologist, and she was also an energy worker, she had run across a lot of people and a lot of stories. And as an energy worker, she ran into a couple of people that she wrote about in this book. And she had a chapter in there that says, "What is your body trying to tell you?" Maybe your mind isn't listening, but your body has a message to tell you. So she told the story of a woman that came. She worked for a while for a chiropractor who was really, really good in his holistic approach to healing. She also worked there as a massage therapist and using healing energy. And he would sometimes recommend that some of the people that came in to see him, that they would also have a session with her. And so there was one woman that came in, and she had an injury to her ankle, and she was in her 30s. And during the session, she was saying, "I just don't understand it. My ankle will not heal. It's not broken. It's just sprained. It will not heal, and I cannot walk on it." And so Miss Norwood asked her to, "Well, tell me more. Why is this so important to you? Why are you so stressed right now about this?" She said she could feel every muscle in her body was just stressed to the limit. She said, "Well, you see, my mom needs care. She has cancer, and I'm her caregiver. She doesn't want my dad. They have had issues, and she decided several years ago that she didn't really like him, didn't like being with him. She barely tolerates him. And so she certainly doesn't want him being the one that's her caregiver." And so Ms. Norwood asked her a few more questions, said, "Well, why is this? Does he not love her?" "Oh, yes, he loves her very much. But in their earlier lives, my mom got to feeling that he didn't love her because he was a man of few words, go to work, come home, and she felt used and abandoned too much. Then she had a lot of unforgiveness, that she just was not willing to forgive him. And so as it happened, Miss Norwood advised her, and she said, "I think I see what's going on here. Your body is doing this so that your mother and your father will have a healing." And as it turned out, the mother finally allowed the father in to be close again. And they discovered the love that they had had years and years and years ago. But she had put up so many barriers. She had pushed him out and would not allow him in. There was another story that Miss Norwood tells, and that is of a young man that was coming into the chiropractor, and he was well-built, muscular. You could tell that he worked out a lot. But he had pains that he just couldn't get rid of, and they couldn't decide why. He had come to see the chiropractor several times. He really couldn't help him, so he sent him to her. She said immediately she's feeling his neck, and she can tell the tension, the muscles, they're all knotted up. And she's just talking gently with him and saying, "What is it that you do? Why is it that you have so little time and you can't take the time to heal? And the story comes out that his father was an alcoholic, and all the family were they were emotionally abused and refused to admit it. He did admit, though, that his brother was following the path of his father, and he felt like he needed to take care of him. She says, well, where's your mother? Well, she, after my dad passed away, she went out to Colorado to become a chiropractor and to start a new life, and she keeps telling me to do the same thing. And so Miss Norwood says, well, why don't you? Oh, well, I can't. I have too many responsibilities, you see. I'm going to school, and then I need to work out for 2 hours every morning. Then I bartend at night, and then I have a girlfriend, and then I have this, that, and the other going on. And she says, whoa, wait a minute. Sounds like you are punishing yourself. He says, well, the real reason I can't move away is because I have to take care of my brother. She says, who made you your brother's keeper? I know that many times we are our brother's keeper, but not to our own detriment. Okay? There's someone out there that needs to hear this today. If you feel the need, here's what this is, the need for control. You need to let go of that. We even had a situation in my own family where my mother's care was just absolutely impossible because my oldest sister would not release control. Impossible. We went through years of trying to make it work. And until she stepped back and let us all take responsibility, it was impossible to handle. If you've got too much going on in your life, you're trying to take care of too many people, you're trying to take care of their responsibility, you've got too many meetings, this, that, and the other. You have to remember that's their responsibility. And if they try to hand it to you again, lovingly hand it back. So why me? Why this? Why now? You may be in that situation right now where you're asking that question. That means that we need to trust the unshakable love of God. We gracefully, gratefully begin again, one small step at a time, knowing we are lovingly held at all times. I believe in God. I believe in the one power and the one presence, source, creator, whatever we call that, the river of life. Call it anything you want to. I can feel it. And there have been times in my life I have felt the blues too. There have been times in my life where I have sat for so many hours because I couldn't do anything else until I fall through the bottom and find the one reality that's God. So maybe all of those issues, those problems, they're the one opportunity to find God and to know God and to lovingly allow that to hold us through the most difficult times. You might ask, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, I promise there is. And if you have an addiction, If you have a problem you haven't been able to sort through, some sort of change you need to make, like they say, you just haven't hit bottom yet, but you will. And when you do, you will find that foundation that will hold you lovingly through thick and thin. You'll find God there. You'll find peace there. Practicing the presence. It will always, always, always show you how to turn a challenge into a blessing. Now, thank you for your time. I thank you for being here. I thank you for being my family.